Heyo, and welcome to one of our first, if not the first, but we're not sure, our recorded reviews of books. This is Omnidog, and I'm with Comic Slayer, also known as Omnicat, on Saturdays. Every other Saturday, she's known as Omnicat, but otherwise, she's the Comic Slayer. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Also, if you want to interview me, that's fine. We could do an interview if you want.
I should come on your channel and interview you.
I would love it. Let's do it.
I also love your t-shirt because I love that show.
Oh, it's the best, right?
Yeah, I'm ready to watch it again.
Oh, I am too. We should do that. We should. Yeah. My favorite thing is to just send you Schitt's Creek gifts.
I love getting them all now that I get them all.
Yeah,
I understand them all. So we are reviewing 3 Jeff Lemire books tonight. And first one is Mazebook.
You have the super fancy edition.
And this is the last one that I'm ever buying. If
you ever need to downsize that one, you just give me a holler.
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
It is fancy, and it was a ridiculous amount of money, but it's a gorgeous book, and that's the last fancy edition I'm ever buying. It's downsizing mode for Omnidog. It's time to take fiscal responsibility now that I'm in the 8th inning of my life. And then we are also reviewing Primordial. And you have a physical copy of this book, right?
I do.
Okay.
And the Passageway, right? Yeah, the Passageway.
The Passageway, the Bone Orchard Mythos. And I have extremely fancy graphics for the first time to show while we're talking about this book. So let me just show you exactly what I mean. I'm not going to start using it right away. Okay, there's the fancy editing that I did, which is make a bunch of thumbnails.
Nice.
And so there's what the book looks like.
Even though you didn't just show it or anything, right?
Right. I know. I'm thinking, well, I don't know. I'm all kerfuffled all the time. So, and I will be showing, as we talk, I'll pull that back up and show various pictures of the art and things that may be happening while we're talking about it. Mazebook is a study in grief of a man who has lost his daughter when she was about 10 years old, and this was about 10 years ago. And he's convinced that he's gotten a phone call from her, even though she's not alive anymore, telling him to come find her. And this is about his journey to try to find her, but it's also an amazing story about grief and how one deals with it. And I thought it was remarkably, I will just say ahead of time, I thought it was, I'm unaware of any loss that Jeff Lemire is writing from, but I think I read something that he was trying to envision what that loss would look like had he experienced something like that. And as you will find out, it's a pretty remarkable book, what he goes through, because no one really kind of believes him that he's heard from his daughter on the phone. And his daughter has had a lifelong love of mazes, getting mazes and drawing mazes. And he is going through his life, kind of sleepwalking through his life. He's becoming undone by his grief, well, especially by the phone call. But it is how he's dealing with the loss of his young daughter. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, or do you feel like I summed it up okay?
I think that was very well done. If you just want to jump into our thoughts about it.
Sure.
I have some immediate thoughts. I think one of the first things that's really striking about this is the way the color work was done throughout it. You know, there's like current day color, there's some flashback color.
Yeah, I can show some of that while you're talking about it.
As well as, because mazes were, you know, a big point of it, as another huge point of it was this red sweater that his daughter would wear.
Right.
And a thread from the sweater is kind of weaved throughout the story and puts like splashes of red. You see it right there in the maze.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the current day, which you can see that in here. It's like sepia kind of tone. And, right. You know, there's certain, he's dealing with, you know, certain things in his memory. I don't want to give a lot away, but, and that's mixed with how full color comes into this story. It's just so well done. I mean, it's just such a feat that he can use color as an integral part of the story, right? Like to not only the art, which I think is beautiful. I'm a huge fan of his art. I know some people aren't. And that's, you know, people are allowed to be wrong. But but I think there's beautiful art throughout this. It's perfect for the story, as I think all of his art ends up being for his stories, you know.
I agree with that point, that it is perfect for this story the same way Sweet Tooth's art was perfect for that story.
Absolutely. And
let me see if I can. Oh, okay. That I'm jumping ahead of myself with that. I just wanted to show some of the art. Here he is confronting his ex-wife, who he lost over the loss of his child, and she's not believing him. You know, of course, that he's gotten a phone call. But yeah, the color palette and the art. When I show the next picture I want to show, are really strong points of the presentation, besides the writing, which is strong with the, I think that's what we're sort of blessed with in today's comic book world, is you get a guy like Jeff Lemire and he's allowed to do his thing. And his thing is not only strong writing, but then the mood changes that come with that color that he gets to do. So I want to just highlight, speaking of his art, this was one part that I thought was really remarkable. Well, there we see the red sweater leading to the maze. And this is when he finds the great talking dog.
Oh, it's so good. And such a good character.
Yeah, and there's still the little thread of red sweater from the young daughter, and the dog helps him on his journey because he is basically sleepwalking through life, and this phone call sort of jolts him out of it. And I thought this full page spread was really impressive, not only for the art, but he's having trouble, if you can see all the pictures, her face is blurred. So I think it shows sort of our memories, as strong as he wants to remember her. In this full page spread, he can't quite get the details of her face right. He remembers the activities, and I this is a really strong page for me because of what time does to our memories. Even though it's somebody we've held close to us, even time even blurs the strongest memories, and he still can't quite. He can picture the activities, but her face is a little fuzzy in them. And I thought this was a really strong center spread.
Well, and even just, you know, the thread around his fingers going to each memory, kind of mimicking veins. That's how I took it, you know.
Oh, nice.
Like it was part of him, like she was part of him. Mm-hmm. And even though that's the case, that's still how he's, you know, viewing his memories. And the color throughout that, right? Like they're so vivid, except her face.
Yeah.
I look at the panel work in this and like the one right before with the dog leading him through, you know, kind of the panels turn into little maze pieces and create mazes. And that was one of the best parts about this whole story for me too. You know, I feel like every part of it is what comics should be, right? The colors are a story in themselves, right? They are a character in the story, rather. You know, the panels are something I've never seen in another comic. You know, the way he took that big part of the story with the mazes and created that out of panels. It's just like, it was, I don't know. I thought it was wonderfully, it's so wonderfully done. The fact that the panels, every part of it can be part of the story. We've read tons of comics that are great that we never think twice about the panels, right? But I felt like I was noticing every single part of it. It was all intentional, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point, because the panels can be a bit of a maze themselves. They aren't traditional panels. They lead all over the place too. They can go from one page to the other page and then back, where you don't follow it linear in a straight line. You follow it, you know, as he's speaking it. So that's a really good observation, that how exquisite the paneling is and how important it is to the story.
I don't know if anyone's realized, but I think we both really like this one.
Yeah, we loved it.
Yeah.
And here he is studying some maze work, and how his grief is still so palpable in him, and how he just cannot seem to. You never want to say move on from grief, because I know from firsthand experience, there's always a little piece of that loss that follows with you. You can learn to cope with it. You can move on with your life, but you're not leaving it behind. You're always taking a little. The grief always stays with you. It just depends on how you choose to deal with it. And I feel in this book, he's stuck in his grief for the entire book. And I don't want to ruin the ending. But yeah, his grief has almost come to define him. And not has almost, it has come to define him in this book. And he just has not been able to move forward. Moving forward doesn't mean you're forgetting your loved ones. You are expected, your loved ones would, you know, not want you to sit there and dwell forever on it. They want you to remember them and keep going, but don't forget them. I mean, the memories of them is how you keep them alive.
Absolutely. But he is like, it is his life in this. It has,
right.
You're absolutely right with it. Defining him. It's every part of him. He's in
it. The talking dog. I don't think I have anything after that. Oh, I do have one other nice piece of artwork. The talking dog is such an important part of the book, and such kind of it's a very heavy book, but the talking dog kind of lightens it up as his guide, and they end up working together. And I don't know. I just love this talking dog.
I agree. He's such a great character. And you're right. That gives some levity to a really, you know, deep, sad, very, very much sad subject.
And I just wanted to show, I think this is the last one. I just wanted to show just where the red sweater leads is this big labyrinth or huge maze that looks like it's a city unto itself, and it may even be him facing the city. I can't remember, but the artwork in this is just perfect for the book, and while it does deal with a deep and serious subject, well, I don't. How can I say this without spoiling the ending?
I feel like we can say you'll be satisfied with the ending, right? I think it's hard to land on an ending for something heavy like this, and there's a lot of ways you can go, but I really like the ending.
I agree. I thought the ending was beautiful and perfect, and brought us. It brought a surprise element into it for me, connecting some things. And I just thought this is going to be one of my books of the year, because of how well he handled the subject, how engrossed, and you and I always talk about characterization and character-driven books and character growth and stuff. And I feel and I know you feel the same way, a really well-written book gets you to feel for the characters. You don't become them, but you really feel for them and are invested in the outcome.
Absolutely. And, we've said it, I think we both said it a lot, but, I love Lemire's art. I think he does so well at it. I love his writing, but what he's best at is that character development. That, yes, the plot in this absolutely there too, but, that's what it is. He makes you care about every single character you read from him. And I'm with you. This is absolutely going to be one of my books of the year, and it's moving up there in my all-time favorite Lemire books for sure.
Oh, for sure. Okay. Now, Essex County isn't going to be bumped, but what's it like? Underwater Welder?
Yeah, well, that's hard, isn't it? You know what? I'd have to sit with all of them again, I think, and really think about that. But it feels that way. It's one of those stories where I'm like, this is already a new favorite, and it feels like it's went up in my, you know what I mean, in my rankings.
He does a really good job on characters with memories that they are carrying with them. Absolutely. Like Underwater Welder. Yeah. And things like that. Okay, so we loved it.
Loved it.
And highly recommend it to anybody that wants to read a great book.
And I will say, it was so breezy. It was so, it was a quick read, even though it was there's a lot of depth to it. To me, I felt like I kind of zoomed through it in a great way, Yeah,
he gets a lot said with not a lot of words.
Yeah.
Which I think is a sign of a really good writer. It's not like there's 40 pages, 40 words to every word balloon. It's a sparse. He gets a lot done with not a lot of words, which it makes it even more remarkable.
I agree.
We are in agreement. Mazebook. Okay, and the next book, which I have a copy of here, but we both have copies.
Yep.
And I also have it. Well, I might as well not even show the slide of it because we both got it right here. But I do have pictures of the art inside. And it has a dust jacket that Kristen hates.
That's right.
With a really cool picture of Laika as the astronaut. Oh, and
yeah, super cool under the dust jacket for this. I like it a lot.
Let's see. It was Laika and Abel and Baker were the monkeys. Okay, so the summation of this book is a bit of an alternate reality where the Russians did send up Laika, the dog, in the late 50s as part of the space race, and where we set up Abel and Baker, two different kinds of monkeys. Okay, two monkeys, Abel and Baker. But the space race stopped because the government line was they were burned up in orbit. But what we learn in the book is They were taken. And this is a combination of a Cold War book mushed together with a little bit of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And let's see if I can share some of the artwork. Okay, wait. I'm so bad at this. And I practiced beforehand. Okay, there's Primordial, the book. And then here's some of the artwork. This is the next two, this book and then the next book are both by Andrea Sorrentino. And the art is very different in both books. So this is part of the Cold War where a war was started, and it looks like, as far as we can tell, the Soviet Union ended up with a big chunk of Scandinavia. And the scientist behind the Russian scientist behind sending up Laika develops immense feelings for the dog to where they are emotionally attached. And okay, I don't want to give away too much, but I still have to give a summary of the book. She is convinced that Laika is still out there and wants to send a signal using this U.S. agent, to help her in a very dangerous part of the larger Soviet Union, larger than it even was. So we're dealing with animals that did not die. They were taken, and it's a story of what's happened in the world since then and what's happened to the animals since then. Let's see. This next picture shows Laika and one of the monkeys, Abel Baker. I can't remember which one. And where they are in the book after they've been taken. So let's see. Okay, yeah, no, I don't want to show that part yet. So it shows the journey of the world and the journey of the animals sort of simultaneously. So what did you think of this book?
I really enjoyed this book. Give me some talking animals every time, right? Like, because, the monkeys and the dog communicate with each other. They're stuck together. They're wanting to go home. And, hit me in the feels with a good animal journey, and I'm there. And, there was like sci-fi elements throughout this. Like you said, there was an interesting history aspect to it, like a warped history, what if kind of situation.
Right.
And some of this art is, with that sci-fi element, kind of bonkers, right? Like in a great way, something like this.
Wait, let me highlight you. Yeah.
Right? It was pretty beautiful. I love the art throughout this. I like his art anyway, but
yeah.
Yeah, some of the panel was quite interesting.
Really cool.
The panel work. Yeah, really cool, really well done.
That showed the years as things went on.
Yeah.
And what was happening. Yeah.
Super interesting.
Yeah. And let me show this next one, this next image that I have. And that's, well, I can't see what the monkey's name is, but it shows him in an odd spot. And then here it's sort of present day, the Soviet Republic of Sweden. I put that up to show what had happened during the World War, apparently, what the Soviets got to take, what countries the Soviets ended up taking possession of. I loved this book because the animals not only were able to communicate, but they could communicate with each other. They were given a gift of being able to communicate with each other, and they all want to go home, but especially Laika wants to go home because one of the monkeys is afraid to go home because he remembers what had happened to him in the lab before he was sent up. And Laika says, I'll protect you. And their journey home is, I think, exciting and interesting, with really, really beautiful art by Andrea Sorrentino and colors, of course, by the famous Dave Stewart, because there are major league colors happening all over this book.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Some of these space shots, I mean, it's all pretty amazing.
Yeah, okay, here's what, yeah. I think I just showed that one. Oh, yeah. And then some more of this. As you said, the paneling is fantastic. It's not your typical paneling, which helps give that book its sort of sci-fi feel. I feel like
absolutely. And just like Mazebook, I feel like it helps move the story along. The panels become part of the story. The colors become part of the story. Like that, those are my favorite kind of comics. You know, I want every element that what we love about this medium that can come to life and better the story, do something different and unique. And I feel like we really got that here too, you know.
100%.
And again, with the character work, like, you know, the trio that you care about the entire time, not to mention, you know, some people back on Earth that you care about too. And like, you really want this to happen. Like the whole time you're on edge, like, oh, what's gonna like, you know, I was personally worried because anytime there's animals, you just don't know. Don't know. But this journey was worth it. So if anyone's afraid of that, just know it's just worth it. And it's a great story. And, you know.
And I think Jeff Lemire absolutely sticks the landing with Andrea Sorrentino's help with the with the ending. It's a multi-page ending that is fantastical in its presentation. And so I think that Dave Stewart and Andrea Sorrentino helped make it an even better book, but even a better ending with their creativity of drawing and color. And I think he definitely stuck the ending on this book. I genuinely love this book.
I agree.
I don't know if it's in my top 10 yet. I'll have to go back and look at my Goodreads. I'm sure I gave it 5 stars though. Now, our next book, okay, you have a copy of it, so I don't need to show it. This is something new, the Bone Orchard Mythos, and this is the Passageway. And I'm almost not sure it's fair for us to review this by itself. It's supposed to be a 12-book series. So we don't know if the next book, I don't even know if the next book is by Jeff Lemire or if it's by somebody else building on what he's laid out.
I think it's Jeff Lemire and Andrea. What? How did we say it? Andrea Sorrentino. Yeah, it's the team for all of them, I believe.
Okay,
that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay, so then I'm going to assume that this is just the first part that we're reviewing, and so take it with a grain of salt what our review is, because it's just the first chapter in a 12-issue series. I'm sure it'll be easier for us to give a review of the collected work once it's collected, because we're not used to reviewing one issue of a book. We're collected edition people. So
true. And there is, you know, they're coming out with these hardcovers. Of course, they're standard and they're little bitty. They're little big guys. I'm hoping when they all come out, they'll,
Yeah.
upgrade that.
And I read it on Hoopla. So the central part of this book is there is a deep hole in an island that a geologist is sent to investigate. And it's there's a lighthouse and it's super windy and isolated. And the baggage he's carrying with him is that he lost his mother in a drowning. And so his journey, to get to the lighthouse is by sea. And then he's taken by boat to the lighthouse to investigate this hole. So he has not only the hole to deal with, but he's got recurring thoughts of losing his mother. And there are two other characters in the book, the lighthouse keeper and then the guy who brings the lighthouse keeper her supplies and brought the geologist to the island. I do have some pics that I can show while you are gathering your thoughts on. So this is a more what I think of when I think of Andrea Sorrentino's art, as opposed to Primordial, which was not quite as moody and maybe cleaner lines.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's when he gets to the island, and there's the hole that he ends up sending a drone down into. That drone, I think. Okay. And then I have one more picture of him sending the drone down there. And I think I also cut it off from what the drone reveals because I didn't want to show that. Because it's a spoiler.
Right. And that is the hard part about reviewing this, right? It is short to the point of we don't want to spoil things. But I will say I really enjoyed the characters in this. I thought they were all well done. And the twist I enjoyed too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much more I can say.
I enjoy. They seemed like believable characters. The whole is extremely mysterious, and we can't say anything more about it. We really can't say anything more about the characters.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more here than we can talk about because we don't want to spoil it for you. I will say it hooked me enough for a first issue that I definitely want to find out more of what's happening, because something's going on this island or rock where the lighthouse is. And I feel like it's really, really not good.
Oh yeah, it's not good at all. Yeah, this is a great beginning to a shared horror universe that this claims to be. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to more. I think we'll continue with these characters, and I need to know what the deal is.
Yeah, it has piqued both of our interests, I think I can say, enough so that I definitely want to follow it. And I think Kristen just said she also wants to follow it. It was enough of a hook and enough character development that I want to know what happens to those people, and then what other elements he's going to bring into this.
Yeah, and I will say, I feel like I can't show a lot of it, but the panel work throughout this was also very unique for the story, and I feel like helped push the story along and was very well done, as well as the changes in art throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain artistic changes that, he would do in certain pages and certain moments that I think was really cool and elevated the story.
Yeah, it's hard to review it because we really can't talk about it past about page 4.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, we'll spoil it for you. I think we can end by just saying we're both looking forward to more of this. And I think I'm looking forward to reading it as a collected edition, because I bet as a collected edition, it will read really well. since it's serialized like this, I don't know that I want to follow it on Hoopla for single issues. I think I'm going to wait to go back to this when it's all done.
Well, and I'll probably keep collecting these.
Cool.
And then I'll be like you about it. I'll keep collecting these, and then they'll be like, "Oh, there's going to be a deluxe hardcover," and I'll be like, "Cool." Now I'm going to upgrade, I guess, which is not my typical style. But
right.
But you know, it's a nice standard hardcover. No dust jacket. I'm fine.
Oh,
you know,
you're happy
like
with that.
Yeah, real happy with that. So I want to support it. I'm in.
Good. Okay. Well, there's our then this is the first part of our Lemire review. And then our next part, we're going to be reviewing three other books.
Three? Yeah.
Three. I know we're doing Snow Angels, 1 and 2.
Yes.
And Robin and Batman.
Yes.
I'd have to look at your text.
I know. Like I'm bringing up the text too.
I felt like there was a third one.
I think there's definitely a third. There may be a fourth one. No, there's a third one. Hold on. No. Robin and Batman, Snow Angel 1 and 2. I guess that's technically 3.
Oh, okay. Robin and Batman and Snow Angels.
Maybe that's what we were thinking. Yeah.
No worries. I have plenty to say about Snow Angels 1 and 2.
Got it.
Which, of course, I bought in trade paperback, and now there's going to be a giant library-size edition.
That's how it goes.
Yes. So, Kristen, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on YouTube at the Comic Slayer. Check it out. We're doing new videos weekly at this point, and you want to check it out. Anyway, we're talking about comics and stuff like that, as well as Instagram at the Comic Slayer.
And her information will be in the description box below. And you can find me, Omnidog, on this channel, Omnidog's Vault, and on Omnidogs_Vault on Instagram. So peace and love, peace and love. Thanks to everyone watching this. Thank you to the Comic Slayer for joining me. And I look forward to doing another review of Lemire books. And be good to each other out there. Peace and love. Peace and love. And go to the Comic Slayer's YouTube
please
channel.